having a love-hate. I had the most beautiful moment in life to get me through high school. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next single they sing about pickup trucks and banjos playing, because that seems to be the route they're going for with these songs. Hey, my nose is very red because I am extremely cold, and so I went to go grab my shopping and my car's broken down, so I'm waiting for my partner to come back home so he can jumpstart that. So I'm gonna quickly try and do this YouTube video. There's been a lot of problems. I tried filming it last time and then I realized halfway through the audio wasn't recording, which was super frustrating. And then another time when I tried to do a very casual video on my iPhone, my laptop couldn't handle the 4K footage because it's too old. So today we're going to be talking about how your visual branding can change depending on your audience, and we're using BTS as an example and their career. We're going to be deep diving into their career and analyzing how the audience has changed over the time, and how that has affected their visual branding. So without further ado, let's get into it. Yeah, okay. So when BTS first debuted, their whole visual branding was around pushing the standards in the K-pop industry, as well as society's pressures and expectations on adolescents. We see this through their whole branding, which is kind of like this war on pushing societal standards, or pushing this whole war on societal norms and pressures on youth. They translate this into their visual branding from their logo, which is a bulletproof vest said to block out the stereotypes and criticisms that adolescents face, as well as their whole fandom being named ARMY and their light sticks being named ARMY bombs, all very cohesive and ties in together with that whole war on pushing standards on adolescents. We also see this through their styling, which comes off as kind of like the rebellious bad teen. Even though the messaging is very good, you can easily see how maybe like for older generation they might be seen as like a bad influence. Because they're telling you to stand up for yourself and push societal norms, as well as their as well as their music being very, very heavy on hip-hop and rap, as well as some rock elements too. This is pretty appealing and relatable for teenagers who constantly feel the pressure by society to act and look a certain way, as well as the pressure to get good grades to get into a good school, and if you don't, you're a failure and you've let your parents down. That's kind of like the whole thing around being a teenager, is that you have to live up to your parents' expectations, even if they're not really in line with who you are or who you want to be. And so BTS's audience back then were definitely a voice for the adolescents, for the youth, and definitely address and talk about issues like these. This is why back then it was so appealing for me as well, is because I could definitely relate with wanting to rebel and fight against the systems that tried to control me, because I lived in a very, very strict household, as well as I really loved rap and I guess hip hop back then. I felt like it was the first group that actually focused mainly on hip hop and rap. I know you could say like maybe Big Bang at the time, but I felt like Big Bang kind of had a mixture of rap and hip hop, but mixed with like elements of pop so that it's kind of like acceptable in K-pop. But with BTS, they just went all in with like the heavy hip hop, rap and kind of rock, and there was a bit of like techno in it as well. So for me that was really refreshing to see, and because of their messaging I really wanted to support them because it was something that I could definitely relate to back in my teenage years. Now, BTS breaking into the American music industry did not happen overnight. BTS actually made a few changes to their sound, their styling, which I would say made them gain more recognition at the time, which propelled them to go on to break into the American music industry. So this all started with The Most Beautiful Moment in Life, Part 1 and Part 2, both released in 2015. I thought it was 2014, but apparently it's 2015, and so that was my last year of high school. I can't believe I had the most beautiful moment in life to get me through high school. So the music changed from having this really heavy hip-hop, rap, and rock elements and kind of shifted into more hip-hop, R&B, EDM, and dance pop sound. Their lyrics, however, were still really meaningful and were all about like youth and the youth struggles. So even though they did make shifts, they still were kind of in their roots of where they began. What was different about these albums was that they were intertwined in a very, very complex universe. It was like a series of short films where you, the viewer, had to uncover what was going on through these hidden meanings and map together all these different MVs to make sense. For example, there was a lot of time traveling and there was an existence of a parallel universe, and you could see the boys trying to stop each other from making past mistakes that you see in the MVs. This was really good as it gave the viewer a chance to really discuss with each other and come up with different theories on what's happening, and really come together as a community. Because of these hidden meanings behind the MVs, this made for more discussion, which led to people knowing more about BTS, which then led to BTS having more recognition. Fast forward to today, where BTS has now broken into the American music industry and have really popularized K-pop globally. Their visual branding has definitely changed. For example, RM dropped his stage name, Rap Monster, and he said this about it. RM has described himself as having a love-hate relationship with the name, feeling that it was not selected for being of incredible value to him. He formally changed his stage name from RM in November 2017 as he determined that Rap Monster was no longer representative of who he was or the music he creates. I also feel like if he was going into the American music industry, people would either not take him seriously or he would have to live up to the expectations competing with other talented artists or rappers in the American music industry. So I think it was a smart move to change his stage name, especially since they were kind of moving away from the whole rap hip-hop and shifting towards more pop music. They also made changes to their logo, which is now a super minimal modern logo, and it's said to be BTS and ARMY coming together as one, or opening the doors to the BTS universe. From a graphic designer's point of view, it's a lot more recognizable and you can easily, there's a specific word for this but I forgot it, so I'm just gonna explain the long-term version, but you can easily place the logo on packaging, merch, and everything, and the logo still doesn't get lost in it. Whereas with the original logo, because it had so much little details, it could easily get lost in the albums. Like I have one of the albums, and when you minimize it, you can't really see the details of the thunderbolts and the line art. So I think it was a really smart decision to change the logo to have something that's more modern, clean, and can easily be placed on different merch. As for their three recent singles, Dynamite, Permission to Dance, and Butter, the sound has definitely shifted. It's a lot more pop with a lot of American icon references and a lot of similes as well.
They say just sing along to Elton John, and Dynamite they're like jump to the top, LeBron, which is another simile of course. And Butter's smooth criminal hook is a reference to Michael Jackson.
Their visual style has changed and they're using a lot more, I guess, pastel colors or just colors in general, and with retro styling. Also, their three singles are all in English.
I can't.
3 billion views. You can definitely tell that they're really starting to focus on making it an American industry and appealing to the American audience. I say American and not Western audience because they really do use a lot of American icon references, which the Western world doesn't really care for. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next single they sing about like pickup trucks and banjos playing, because that seems to be the route they're going for with these songs.
Under the city lights, dear, you're so pale, but when the light falls, conversation feels so damn near while we're watching.
Yeah. So this is a big example on how your visual branding can change depending on your audience. BTS audience started out being adolescents, talking about fighting the systems, breaking stereotypes, and the pressures that society places on adolescents and youth, creating this kind of war, with their acronyms being in English is like Bulletproof Boy Scouts, their logo being a bulletproof vest, their fandom name being ARMY, and their light sticks being ARMY bombs. To now breaking into the American market, getting a global audience and focusing on America, they've changed their visual branding to suit more of the American audience. They've changed their stage name, changed their music to be more pop. Their styling has changed to be a lot more pastel colors or just colors in general, and they've changed their logo to be a lot more clean and minimal so it's easily recognizable within a large audience. Let me know if you have anything you would like to add or any more questions or suggestions on what videos I should do next. I would love to hear them down in the comment section. For now, you can find me at Nayu Studio on TikTok, Nayu Studio on Instagram, or my website nayustudio.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.